Welcome to the deep dive. So today, our mission, it sounds simple, maybe deceptively so. We've got this source material, and it's basically a blueprint, a foundation for English social interactions, like an actual guide for language learners.
Right.
But we're not here to, study vocab lists. We want to decrypt the core rules, the courtesy, the structure needed for, well, a successful introduction.
Exactly. We're treating this guide less like a textbook and more like a kind of social contract, you could say.
Okay.
What really happens in those first, say, 90 seconds when you meet someone new? We're pulling out the essential steps, the sort of hidden expectations, what you have to do to introduce yourself and make that connection work according to this script.
Yeah, skipping the obvious stuff and getting straight to the why behind it. What are the implicit demands when you start talking to someone? We'll look at the rules for everyday greetings, dig into why certain questions are chosen for daily life, and then see how it all fits together in a short conversation.
Right. Ready to peek at the social algorithm here. Let's start with that first move, the social mechanics of English greetings.
Okay, so this is the critical bit, isn't it? The opening line that basically gives you permission to continue the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
The guide lists the usual suspects. Hello, hi, good morning, good afternoon. You know the ones.
Sure, standard greetings.
We all know these words. But the real insight here, the genius of this blueprint maybe, isn't the words themselves, it's the response structure that has to follow.
Ah, yes. And this structure, it introduces something absolutely fundamental for, let's call it, social compliance, the rule of reciprocity.
Reciprocity, okay.
It basically says that if someone asks about you, you have to return the favor. Ask about them.
Right, let's look at the example they give. Person A says, hi, how are you?
Okay.
Person B replies, I'm good, thank you. How about you? And that little phrase, how about you? That seems to be the key. The difference between, well, connecting socially and maybe failing at it.
It really is.
Yeah.
The source points this out explicitly. It says in English conversation, it's polite, maybe even required, to ask about the other person too.
Required, huh?
You nailed it before. It's like repaying a social debt immediately. You can't just take the how are you and, keep that conversational energy all to yourself.
So what if you don't? What if you just say, I'm good, thanks, and then, I don't know, start talking about the weather?
Well, according to this framework, you've just signaled that the interaction is purely transactional. You got the info you needed, you're good. But you basically refused the opening for a relationship, even a tiny one. You've broken that implicit contract. So even if you didn't mean to be rude, it can come across as a deliberate social misstep, a faux pas.
That distinction is interesting between it being a ritual and a genuine question. Because let's be honest, most of the time, how are you isn't really asking for a detailed breakdown.
Exact.
You want to hear good or fine, and then you expect the question back so you can both move on.
Precisely. It's less about the actual information and more about confirming, okay, both of us are willing to do this little back and forth. We're willing to engage. And what's really striking here is how inflexible this rule seems in these basic English scripts.
I wonder, though, does this reciprocity always hold up? Does this blueprint consider context? Like if I bump into a colleague and things are really busy, a hospital, a trading floor, do I still have to repay that social debt right then and there?
That's a great question. And that's where digging deeper gets interesting. This foundational guide, it assumes a pretty neutral, low-stakes situation, friendly introduction.
Right.
In those high-speed, high-context places you mentioned, often efficiency kind of trumps the social rule. Asking back might even slow things down too much.
Okay, that makes sense.
But for these basic introductions, the script is clear. Total compliance. If you don't comply, it subtly marks you as, well, maybe socially unreliable. So this simple greeting, it's actually a little social aptitude test.
A test. Okay. So assuming we pass the test, we've done the reciprocal greeting, set a pleasant tone, then we move on, right, to the next stage. Essential information exchange. We've sort of earned the right to ask questions now.
Yes, this is the information gathering part.
Mm-hmm.
And the guide picks out 3 specific core questions. Functional questions needed for just basic interaction. And which 3 questions they chose is actually quite revealing about what's considered essential versus maybe what's considered too nosy.
Okay, and those 3 are, what's your name? Where are you from? And do you speak English?
Yep. Those are the immediate building blocks for a basic intro. Name gives you identity.
Right.
Origin gives you context, maybe some common ground culturally or geographically. And language proficiency tells you if you can actually continue the conversation easily. The structure is, well, it's efficient. ruthless even in its focus.
Let's talk about what they didn't include. Why these three, but not say, what do you do, or how old are you, or even are you married? Those seem common in some contexts.
Well, because this blueprint seems designed for maximum social safety, minimal risk.
Safety.
Yeah, the information exchange have to be low stakes. Asking about a job, or worse, salary, introduces hierarchy, maybe judgment, straight away.
Ah, okay.
And asking about age or marital status, often seen as way too personal for a first meeting. It implies a level of intimacy you haven't earned yet.
So the guide is teaching the learner to play it safe, choose questions that give just enough useful info to keep things going, but without making anyone uncomfortable or defensive.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And look at that third question. Do you speak English? It's kind of the ultimate gatekeeper, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the structured answer they provide is also key. Yes, I speak a little English. That manages expectations right off the bat.
Okay.
It says, yes, I can communicate, but it also sets a boundary. Like, don't get too complex on me.
Yeah.
It's almost a resource management statement. This is how much conversational bandwidth I have right now.
That's actually quite clever. So if you nail the greeting, these three questions are the doorway to the next level. They provide useful, non-threatening data points.
If the greeting establishes the willingness for a relationship, these questions establish the basic parameters of that relationship.
Okay, so we've got the rules for the opening, the essential data points to collect. Let's move to putting it all together. Segment 3, observing the choreography, you could say, using their practice dialogue between Ahmed and Sarah.
Right, this is where it all comes together.
Yeah.
The synthesis, you see the steps unfolding just like we discussed. It's like a little dance perfectly executed.
Okay, so it starts right away. Greeting and name exchange. A says, hello, what's your name? B replies immediately, gives her name, and crucially asks back, hi, my name is Sarah, what's your name? Stream back to that reciprocity rule. Debt repaid instantly.
Yep, doesn't miss a beat. And then Ahmed gives his name. I'm Ahmed. But before they move on, they need to kind of validate that exchange, right?
Ah, and that's where the next key phrase comes in. Sarah says, nice to meet you.
Right. And Ahmed immediately echoes it, confirms the positive feeling. Nice to meet you too.
That phrase, it feels like it's not really optional, is it? It's like the handshake that confirms, okay, step 1 and 2, complete and successful.
Exactly. It's the conversational seal of approval. If you skip that, it feels awkward, like maybe the meeting wasn't nice or was forgettable.
Right.
Then, smoothly, they go to the second core question. Origin. Sarah asks, where are you from?
And look what Ahmed does here. He doesn't just answer. He anticipates. He folds the reciprocal question right into his answer. Super efficient, and it shows he totally gets the social contract. He says, I'm from Pakistan. And you.
Yes. Total mastery of the blueprint. He knows the question's coming back to him anyway, so he just volunteers the reciprocity.
Smart.
Which leads directly to Sarah's answer, the final exchange of origin. I'm from Turkey.
Yeah.
And boom, the dialogue's done. It feels natural. But every single line was dictated by those rules we just pulled apart.
It really does seem simple when you see the underlying algorithm. And the guide reinforces this, right? It says with just these few sentences, these specific phrases, nice to meet you, asking back, the learner gets what they need. The ability to introduce yourself and make a new friend.
Yeah, and the guide even adds that little rhetorical flourish at the end. Simple, right?
Oh, yeah.
And the simplicity is the selling point. It's not teaching complex debate skills. It's selling confidence through basic social competence. Follow the script greet, return the greeting, exchange the 3 core facts, confirm it was nice, and you're deemed socially capable.
So just to recap, we've broken down that mandatory reciprocity in greetings, looked at the strategic choice of those 3 essential questions for safe info exchange, and watched the structured dialogue put it all into practice. We've basically reverse engineered the social code hidden in these simple sentences.
And the guide gives one final, very practical piece of advice, a takeaway that links directly back to achieving that competence we talked about. The absolute need for daily practice. It literally says, use these phrases with friends, or even just practice in front of a mirror.
Right. Practice turns the script into muscle memory. And that muscle memory, that's what builds the confidence. The guide actually promises the more you repeat, the more confident you will become.
Exactly. You stop having to think about the mechanics, the translation, and you can just perform. Focus on the actual person you're talking to.
Confidence is the payoff for mastering the script.
And this leads us right into the next logical step, which the guide itself hints at. bringing in useful phrases for things like shopping or ordering food.
Okay, so this sets up the provocative thought we wanted to leave you with. We just analyzed a situation focused entirely on personal connection, right?
Okay.
Making a friend, establishing some kind of relationship.
Right. Purely social.
So when the context shifts, when it becomes a commercial transaction, shopping, ordering food, how do these fundamental rules we just talked about change?
Yeah, that's the interesting question. Does that rule of reciprocity, asking how about you,
Mm.
still apply with the same force when you're talking to, say, a cashier or a waiter?
Or does the main goal, buying something, getting your food, override that social need for connection? Is it okay for it to be purely transactional then?
Does the cashier owe you that reciprocal question, or is their role defined differently? We encourage you, the listener, to think about how these simple social rules might adapt or even break down when the goal shifts from connection to commerce.
That adaptation, that's where the really deep analysis can start.
Absolutely. So, until next time, keep an eye out for those hidden social rules in every conversation you have or overhear.
Keep practicing, keep learning, and definitely keep asking those why questions.